Now, my family, myself, my wife, and my two boys absolutely love living here in the Animas Valley. We're just north of downtown Durango for context, but there are definitely some cons as well with living here. So we're gonna break that apart. And if you're kind of an analytical person, enjoy numbers, I think you're gonna like this video as well, because we are going to kind of break apart the Animas Valley into sections and talk about price ranges, talk about what homes have sold for, break them down based on different price ranges. 700 to 800,000, 800 to 900, below 600, kind of show you all the differences, show you what the average size of lots are in here, show you where you can kind of find some bigger lots in the Animas Valley. And we're gonna get into it right now, guys. All right, first, let's talk about where we're at in distance to things. So Baker's Bridge is gonna be really about the northernmost point of the Animas Valley. Baker's Bridge is 15 minutes to Purgatory Ski Resort, because I know a lot of you guys watching love to ski, so you're gonna wanna know context from where we are from Purgatory. So Baker's Bridge, northernmost point of the Animas Valley, 15 minutes to Purgatory, and then 21 minutes to downtown Durango. Then the southernmost point, I'd say, is right around Oxbow Park. It's a really cool spot to paddleboard, swim. It's almost got kind of like a beach, a little sandy area to hang out right on the river, kind of a lazy river section. And that portion is 25 minutes to Purgatory and then about 10 minutes to downtown Durango. So again, 10 minutes to Durango, 25 minutes to Purgatory. Now, as much as I love shooting these videos, I even love more helping you guys with all of your real estate needs here in Southwest Colorado. So give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. We've got your back when it comes to moving here to Southwest Colorado. While I'm talking about this, I love diving into exactly what I'm doing in this video, kind of breaking apart things, showing pros and cons of specific areas. And I'd love to personalize that for you. So I'd love to hop on a Zoom call with you, kind of break apart what you're looking for, and really give you an idea of what subdivisions, what areas you might like the best, and maybe point out some things you might not be aware of, even from watching these videos, as well as give you some other videos that you might not have seen that would be great for what you're looking for. Let's jump back into the video. So the number one con, the top of the list, is going to be home prices. Before we dive into what those home prices are, I'm gonna actually start with all the amazing reasons to live here. I don't wanna do just a video all about the negatives, really wanna share with you some of the positives because there are so many. Now, I wanna mention first, I have another video where I talk all about the reasons that I love living in the Animas Valley. Just stick with all the positives. So make sure to check that video out as well, because I go into a lot more depth into the pluses, into the pros of living here. But let's just dive in. So the first one on the list is gonna be the trails. There's Halfling Creek Trail and Stevens Creek Trail, which are actually right behind us there on that ridge, and they go up to the top of that ridge, and they get incredible views. I have to mention the views from those two trails are probably the best trails in the valley for views. So if you're visiting here, you're trying to think of one hike to do, I would definitely do one of those. I'd probably go with Halfling Creek, not quite as steep and a little bit better parking as well. That's a great hike to do. And I actually did it this winter when there was snow on it with the snowshoes on, and it was really fun. Definitely a little bit sketchy. You want to be very careful, but it was a really fun hike with snow. Then you've got Church Camp Trail. So it's on the other side of the valley, kind of works his way up the valley. And then it goes over, I should say there's a trail that connects you onto Church Camp Trail, which goes over into this kind of valley area on the other side of the Animas Valley, where Falls Creek Ranch is, which is another private subdivision. They're all 1 acre lots, and it's got a private pond, really good sized private pond that you can boat on, fish on, swim on. So keep that in mind. There's another really cool subdivision for you there. Then another reason, or a few other hikes, are going to be off of County Road 201. It's going to be Hermosa Creek Trail and Jones Creek Trail. You're going to follow that up. You're going to go kind of the north end of County Road 201. Follow that up to those. There's a campground, about a 36-mile trail up there. And again, to not go into too much detail on all of the different trails, I just shot a video on the cons of living in the mountain area of Durango. Definitely go check out that video when you're done watching this one if you want to know more about that area that is north of the Animas Valley. I dive into some of those trails, go into a little bit more detail on those, talk about the subdivisions and of course all the cons of living there so that you have really good perspective on that area. So I'm trying to do a better job of, in these videos, reference some other videos so you have an idea of where to go next if you're curious about that topic specifically. Then you've got the Animas River running right through the Animas Valley. Now there are a good amount of homes that have private access to the river. So a lot of the public doesn't have access to a lot of spots on the river. However, there's areas like Baker's Bridge, there's Oxbow that I mentioned earlier. So the northern and southernmost points, you've got access to the river there. And then Oxbow, you know, real kind of lazy river. So if you've got kids, easy to just hang out, play. You've got kind of that beach like I mentioned earlier. So there are some good access points. And then you've got the Hermosa Creek running into the Animas River. There's just a lot of water up here, some great fishing opportunities. And then of course you're closer to the Purgatory area and closer to lakes like Haviland Lake, which is an awesome lake just about 10 minutes north of about the middle of the Animas Valley. So there's just a lot of opportunity to have access to water when you're here versus areas like South Durango or West. You know, you've got Lake Nighthorse down there, you've got Lake Pastoris in the south area, but you just don't have the river like we do up here. So again, as you already know, it's called the Animas Valley because of the Animas River running through here. That's also why it's so green. And then, you've got just the gorgeous scenery. Obviously that kind of goes in along with the river, but you've got a lot of cottonwoods out here, a lot of aspen out here, not as much as the mountain area when you get in higher elevation, but you still have some aspen up here. You've got great access to national forest. Like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of at the northern, getting closer to that northern point of the Animas Valley. You're going to take County Road 201 and go up that road, up County Road 203, up to Hermosa Creek Campground and the trail system right there. You just got a ton of access to national forest there. And then the next thing is that it's not much higher elevation here. So a lot of clients are surprised when I'm talking to them about this amount of snow we get in the Animas Valley. Now it's very similar to in-town Durango. So another big plus if you don't want to get dumped on, if you don't want a ton of snow in comparison to areas that get more snow in Durango at higher elevations, we're at about 6,700 feet elevation in the middle of the Animas Valley, whereas in town, they're at 6,512. So you've really got barely any difference in elevation. And when it comes to the amount of snow we get, sometimes in town gets more and sometimes we get more. It just barely varies just by a little bit. So compared to going north of Baker's Bridge, of kind of that northernmost point, that's really where it starts climbing in elevation. You might have heard me say that in other videos where I talk about the valley, but that's something I really want to teach you guys if you're not aware, is really up to that Baker's Bridge point, it stays about the same elevation. Then the reason most people really want to live in the Animas Valley is they're closer to Purgatory Ski Resort and a ton of backcountry skiing. So I just had a client in town that was looking at some neighborhoods, subdivisions, and homes, and they really wanted to live closer to more backcountry ski. And so keep in mind, if you are curious about that, I'm happy to connect you with a great shop. They can tell you a lot more information about backcountry skiing specifically, about specific trails and areas to go. But it's really generally in that Silverton and Purgatory area north of town. And so you're really only 16 minutes from Purgatory Ski Resort when you're right in the middle of the Animas Valley, roughly in the middle. You're about 16 minutes and then about 18 minutes to downtown Durango for reference. So almost the same distance when you're right in the middle of the Animas Valley to Purgatory. Now keep in mind, if you guys didn't know, kids ski for free there. I believe it's if they're 12 and under, they ski for free at Purgatory, if you didn't already know that. So pretty cool fact, and I don't see that at a lot of resorts as well. Now there's a couple things that the Animas Valley has to offer that I want to show you. So we've got the Durango Hot Springs, and then we've also got right across the highway from them is an 18-hole golf course called Dalton Ranch Golf Course. And I'm going to show you the hot springs and then go over to the golf course and show you both those. Let's hop over there now. Then a huge benefit to living in the Animas Valley is you've got the Durango Hot Springs right here, right in the middle of the Animas Valley. They're located right across from Trimble Hardware, as well as a convenience store, grocery store, and liquor store. So really convenient location. You can hit these guys up, go over there for some groceries or some ice cream or some drinks as well. And then they are backed up to Dalton Ranch, 18-hole golf course right there. And to tell you a little bit about these guys, they have 32 hot springs mineral pools, and 19 family friendly and 13 adult only. And they've got 2 cold plunges, 25-meter resort style pool. And they've also got 5 optional private Japanese inspired Ofura cedar soaking tubs. Those are really cool, private. You can book those. Call ahead to make sure to book those. And then they've got reflexology walking path, popular mineral rainwater tower as well. As the renovation here is incredible, really worth checking out. And again, a really big benefit to living in this area. And you're also really close to downtown Durango from here, about a 10-minute drive or so. So we are here at Dalton Ranch Golf Course, and I spoke to somebody that was golfing, and he gave me kind of his perspective on it. He told me that he has traveled the world and been to many different golf courses throughout the world, and said this is one of his all-time favorites. That is actually one of the reasons that he actually moved here to this area and to the Animas Valley. So he told me that it travels, or it plays fair but challenging. And one of the big differences of this course and many others is 16 out of the 18 holes are on water. So you've got the Animas River going right by the golf course. So you have views of the Animas River while you're golfing. And just keep in mind that you've also got a restaurant here, and you've got one of the biggest subdivisions in the Animas Valley called Dalton Ranch. And so you've got Dalton Ranch subdivision right around, and a lot of the homes right on the golf course. So we've got other videos where we dive into Dalton Ranch, really get into the particulars and show you a lot of amenities and what this has to offer. But they do have a fitness center, they do have pickleball course, tennis courts, driving range, then the 18-hole semi-private course, as we just discussed, then the Animas River running right through it. They've got a great restaurant, Alche's restaurant, with a really nice deck overlooking the Animas Valley. Really, really stunning views as well. So this is really definitely one of the reasons that people love living in the Animas Valley. Now, we don't have a lot of restaurants in the Animas Valley, only a couple, but one of the best known secrets is going to be this food truck right behind me here, Tacos La Carranza. Check it out. Super good food. I love coming here. I live about just across the street from here. And then on the other side of me here is Hermosa Creek Grill. So we got the Speedway gas station, then right behind me there is the Hermosa Creek Grill. They're open for breakfast and lunch. They have some really good breakfast burritos, some great lunch options as well. And they're just open till 2 p.m. So keep that in mind. And the food truck right behind me here is just open when the weather's good. So you're really looking at springtime. It's just the beginning of April now. They just opened up spring through fall, and then they close when the snow is starting to get heavy. So they're closing somewhere around December time. And the next thing I'm super excited to talk to you guys about are the birds as well as the animals that we have here in the Animas Valley. So in the ranch subdivision, we've got kingfisher because they've got about 26 different ponds. We've got the kingfisher, they've got swallows, they even have bats, geese, ducks, a bunch of different types of ducks. Just the other day, we saw an owl while my son and I were biking. He was biking and I was walking with him, and he got to see an owl. It was pretty crazy because he's been studying birds. We'll read him, show him bird books at night. And he saw the owl before I did. I wasn't sure what it was. And he said, owl. And then it flew onto this barn, and we could definitely identify that it was an owl. It was just at dusk. So it's like we're seeing so many cool different types of birds. Where I was filming earlier, there were a bunch of turkey vultures circling over my head. I was trying to get a good video, but the lighting was a little off, so tricky to show you guys. But there's a group of turkey vultures that live right in the Animas Valley here. And then the bald eagles. Guys, so we saw a bald eagle just recently on the pond behind our house. And I'll show you a video. I'll put it up right over here because I shot it in vertical format. So I'll show you that video. It was really cool. The bird was pulling out a fish, huge 20-inch trout out of the pond. He broke through the ice, which is really shallow, pulled out this trout right out of the pond and was eating it, flew away. Some of the magpies came and started eating it. We've seen him circling around in the past. I've seen hawks, a lot of red-tailed hawks in the Animas Valley as well. And then animals. So let's talk animals a little bit. We've got some elk, a herd of elk that are coming through the Animas Valley right now that I saw the other day. There's about 100 of them. And again, my son got to see them. He was super excited and saying, elk, elk. And that was really fun to be able to see those elk coming through the valley here. We see a lot of deer. Kind of a caution to you guys, be aware that we've got Highway 550 here. So you always want to be aware of elk and deer crossing the road. And instead of in bigger cities, when people flash their lights, it usually means there's a cop up ahead. When people flash their lights here, 90% of the time, it means there's elk or deer crossing the road or close to the road, and you just want to be really cautious. And so we have seen where people will hit elk or deer and their whole car will be totaled. So you just really want to be cautious of that while I'm talking about animals. We've seen beaver out here. We've seen raccoon. You know, my son just got to see a raccoon the other day too, just running across the park that we were in. And so there's a lot of different animals out here, especially the birds are what I really love. The red-tailed hawks, you'll almost see daily. Bald eagles, you'll see on occasion, especially Haviland Lake, 10 minutes north of the Animas Valley, of kind of the middle point of the Animas Valley. You'll see eagles up there. And then once you get into the backcountry, you'll see a lot of animals out there. We've got bighorn sheep as well. And then just a big variety of birds, as well as you'll hear a lot of chipmunks, a lot of squirrels, a lot of those kind of animals as well. So that's been really exciting thing for my clients to hear when they come out here from a big city and get to see elk and deer. And it's just almost a daily occurrence for us. I was just talking to a buddy about deer, and there's the difference between in-town deer and deer that live up in the mountains. Like the in-town deer kind of know that's their spot, they're safe there, and they kind of live in town. So you'll be biking or walking on the Animas River Trail and we'll see deer just right there, right in front of you. You still want to be careful. They can, you know, they're still wild animals. Don't go up and try to pet them. Be smart. They are wild animals, but it is awesome. You'll also see, really be aware, be cognizant when you're riding your bike or walking on the Animas River Trail, and look for birds up in the trees. I saw a bald eagle just the other day up in the trees near the library. So you'll see bald eagles right on the Animas River Trail, even though you're right in town. The other thing you might see are bear. So we rarely see bear. I mentioned this in other videos, but they are out there and you want to be careful. You know, carry some bear spray with you when you're going in the backcountry, as well as mountain lion. So I just was talking to a friend at a birthday party, and he was saying that his dogs were in his yard. He lives in the Animas Valley. His dogs were in his yard and a mountain lion jumped down out of a tree and he scared it away, but they're definitely out here. You know, you don't see them a lot, but they're definitely here. So few things to kind of be cognizant of and careful of. All right, now let's talk home prices. So what I want to do is kind of break apart the Animas Valley, really give you a good idea and a good picture of what the home prices look like right now. Again, for context, I'm filming this in April of 2024. And then for context as well, we are in the Cottonwoods, a subdivision called the Cottonwoods, which is part of Dalton Ranch. It's kind of on the north end of Dalton Ranch. And most of these homes are bigger lots, bigger acreage lots that are looking right onto the golf course. So let's dive in. La Plata County, just for context again, it's gonna be $660,000, $450,000 is our median home price, up 7% from 2022. So you get an idea, a lot of the country is going down in median home price, and La Plata County has actually gone up. But the valley itself, home prices range from $545,000 to $10.2 million. So that 10 million home was on a really large acreage property, and most homes are not on those bigger acreage properties, just so you have kind of an idea of where we're coming from with that home. So that you know how I pulled this list, what I did was I went into the last 3 years of home sales in the Animas Valley. So in the last 3 years, there were 4 homes that sold under $600,000. There were 2 between $600,000 and $700,000, 3 between $700,000 and $800,000, 8 between $800,000 and $1 million. Then 10 homes that sold between $1 million and $1.3 million, 14 homes that sold between $1.3 million and $1.7 million, and then that one home at $10.2 million, just jumped up to there. Square footage ranges between 1,152 square feet and 8,903 square feet. So of course, a super huge range. 3 of those are over 5,000 square feet. So you get an idea that the majority are under 5,000 square feet. Then the majority are under half an acre. And there were 5 that are over half an acre out of 52 homes. So you get a good context. A lot of these are under half an acre. Then on County Road 250, which again is right behind me, is on kind of the east side of the Animas Valley. In the last 3 years, only 18 homes sold on County Road 250 and 7 in the last 2 years. So there's not a lot of homes right there. A lot of those are a little bit bigger acreage lots. And then to give an idea, $495,000 to $3.495 but most were over 1 million on County Road 250. All right, now let's talk about acreage properties. So the next item on the list is that there's not a lot of big acreage properties in the Animas Valley. Now that might seem odd, but where I'm going with that is really the bigger acreage, meaning 5 to 10 plus acre properties. So let's jump into some numbers. So there was one home that was 35 acres that was sold last year for 10.2 million. And then there were a few homes sold between 1 to 4 acres, good amount of homes that were about quarter acre lots and under, and then a good bulk of the homes that were sold were 1 to 3 acre lots. So to give you an idea of where you're gonna find those, you're gonna have a little bit of the bigger acreage lots over off of County Road 250, then a lot of those 1 to 3 acre lots are gonna be off of County Road 203, as well as up off of County Road 201. There are some 3 acre lots up there that have these really cool views of the valley. There's some 1/2 to 1 acre lots that also have some views of the valley that are a little bit further south, but your big acre lots are gonna be really off County Road 250. Now keep in mind, when most of my clients talk about big acreage, they really want that peace and quiet. They really don't wanna hear that kind of hum, that noise of the highway. Like right where I'm standing here, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but you still hear the highway. And we're a decent ways away from the highway. So when you're kind of factoring, do I want that acreage property, but what comes along with it? Do I want that acreage property that's really not gonna hear any noise at all? I'm just hearing the birds. You're really not gonna get that down here. You're gonna still hear some of that traffic noise. So just wanna kind of put that into perspective with what you're paying for, what you're getting out here. But when you get that 35 acre property, that one that was 10.2 million, these stunning views, I'm gonna pan the camera around a little bit. You can see some of these gorgeous views, and it's tough to even get a perspective from here. It's cloudy, you're not getting that gorgeous sun on these mountains, but you've just got some stunning views from these properties. So it's tough to decide, because yes, you get more bang for your buck when you go further south, even further west or east, but you're in the valley here. And so there's a lot to be said about coming out here, walking some of these properties, or having me go shoot a drone video of some of these properties for you. Like I mentioned in other videos, I'm happy to do that, guys. So give me a call, text, email, let me know kind of what you're looking for. We'll hop on a call, and I'm happy to get the drone up in the air and give you a tour of properties that you're looking for, looking at, and just give you area tours as well if you're not seeing those in some of my videos. And yeah, give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. I've got your back when it comes to all of your real estate needs in Southwest Colorado. So the next item on the list is the traffic and the noise in the Animas Valley. So we're here in a subdivision called Estancia, and this is off of County Road 203, which is on the west side of the Animas Valley. So if you're unfamiliar, there are 3 main roads going through here. So there's County Road 203, then on the other side, there's County Road 250, then in the middle, there's Highway 550. So as you can see behind me, they have this berm here. And I'm showing you this subdivision on purpose to show you some of these subdivisions do a great job of blocking the traffic. And obviously it's gonna cut down on some of the noise. But there's others that don't have this, and you're steering right at Highway 550. Now, County Road 203 on the other side of me, behind us here, isn't really loud. You have a little bit of traffic going by, but it's not anything compared to Highway 550, where a lot of these subdivisions are real small because there's just not much room to put subdivisions in here. So they're backing them right up to Highway 550. Then there's a lot of acreage properties, like I discussed earlier, that are backing up to Highway 550, but the homes are set way off the highway. So I want to show you this subdivision for a few reasons. There are other videos where I go way more in depth on this subdivision. Really cool homes in here. We've got some small fences here so you can have dogs. That is kind of the con, that they are right on the road there, but they have that berm, as you can see right there, kind of cuts down on the noise and you're not seeing it. But the other thing I want to mention about this subdivision, just while we're here, so you see that forest right behind me there, all those trees. There's actually a private trail specifically for this subdivision. It goes way up there, a couple miles at least worth of trail. So picnic bench in there, you can take a lunch, you can go for a run. Definitely climbs in elevation quite a bit, but that is a really cool perk of this subdivision. Otherwise, most other subdivisions in here are going to be, using public access to trails like Falls Creek, the trail that's on the other side of the ridge there. There's a way to get up there and then go over the ridge, and there's a trail there. Then on the other side of us here, I'll turn around. You see that ridge right behind me there, go up that for about 3 miles. And then there is Hermosa Creek Trail and Jones Creek, which are about 36 miles long or so, and go way back, all the way back to Purgatory Ski Resort area. So you've got tons of trails all around you here. But the main part of this video is just to talk about the traffic. So now I'm going to go over to another subdivision and show you the traffic from that subdivision called Waterfall Village. Now I wanted to show you this subdivision, Waterfall Village. I was actually just showing one of these townhomes this morning to a client and was just showing them that it is right on Highway 550. So like Estancia, where we just came from, this subdivision is right on Highway 550. So you can see right here, at the moment, not much traffic going by. I'm filming this kind of right in the middle of the day, about 2 o'clock on a Monday, but you can kind of hear that. I'll be a little quiet so you can kind of tell. So you get an idea of the distance of these homes to the highway. Turn around so you can kind of see homes are right there and the highway's right there. So it gives you a good idea. A lot of these subdivisions are about this distance, but most of them have some kind of berm or barrier, or the houses aren't directly facing. These homes are priced a little bit better than a lot of these homes in the valley. This home right here that is on the market that I just showed, 1424 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath, priced at $550. It's a townhome. And then right down this road, they have a private pond. Pretty awesome. You can paddleboard, swim in it, hang out in it, play in it. And then just to give you a little more perspective there, just to help you understand this area, right on, see that ridge right there, there's a waterfall. That's why this subdivision was named Waterfall Village. And then right in that area, there's a trail that goes up that ridge and then over to the other side where Falls Creek Ranch is. So that trail is called Church Camp Trail. The trail over there, and then like I mentioned, up the road a couple miles, there's Hermosa Creek Trail as well as Jones Creek Trail. So just wanted to give you that perspective, give you an understanding of how close Highway 550 is here. Now the next thing on the list is going to be small subdivisions. Now that might seem a little strange, but where I'm going with that is there are not very many subdivisions at all in the Animas Valley that have, let's say, at least a mile worth of road. So if you're somebody that wants to be able to get out in your neighborhood, go for a walk, there's not many subdivisions where you can really get, let's call it a 30-minute walk or a 20-minute walk-in. So a great example of this is Estancia or even Waterfall Village, where we walked through a minute ago. Those are both basically one little tiny loop or one out and back, and that's about it. So it's maybe 400 yards, 300 yards, if that, somewhere in that range, maybe closer to half a mile. But most of these subdivisions are about that small. So a couple subdivisions that are a little bit bigger are going to be the ranch, because they also have a 31-acre nature preserve behind them that has about 1.5 miles to 2 miles worth of trail, if you consider going out and back. And then the next one's going to be Dalton Ranch. So Dalton Ranch has roughly 2 miles worth of road if you include the north and south Dalton Ranch subdivisions. But besides that, there really aren't many subdivisions at all that are going to have, you know, your private roads that aren't going to be on a busier road. So there are a lot of subdivisions right off of County Road 203 that isn't very busy. Speed limit's 45, I believe. And that's about all there is in the Animas Valley as far as bigger subdivisions. There's a few others where, like, Dalton Ranch connects to the Cottonwoods, and the Cottonwoods connects to the Cove, then the Cove connects to Red Rock Ranch. So you can go through several different subdivisions in that area, and that's probably going to be your best area. But besides that, all the subdivisions off of County Road 203 are fairly small. But then once you get outside of the Animas Valley, if you really want that, I'll throw out some suggestions for you. So you've got Three Springs, which is kind of your southeast quadrant of Durango. That's a much bigger subdivision. And they back up to a bunch of trails, good amount of trails for mountain biking, hiking, just walking. And they have some good incline, good elevation, but Three Springs itself is relatively flat. And then you've got some subdivisions as you go kind of south of there. You've got El Rancho, Florida subdivision. That's all dirt, so keep in mind you're not gonna be on pavement. So in this winter, kind of in that muddy season, the shoulder season between winter and spring, where it's muddier, you just got to deal with that mud. And you've got several other subdivisions out that way where it's just more dirt and you're not having busy roads out that way. Then you've got Durango West. That's a much bigger subdivision, and they've got a lot of paved road, but also a lot of dirt trails that you can bike on and walk on. And then you've also got the Edgemont subdivisions, Those are pretty big, a lot of paved road, as well as about 10 plus miles worth of wood chip trails throughout there. So just want to throw out some great examples of neighborhoods with trails, as well as bigger neighborhoods that are outside of the Animas Valley. There are some others. One more that just comes to mind is Falls Creek Ranch. That is a dirt road, again, it goes throughout there, but that's a pretty good size subdivision, and they've got trails throughout there as well. So there are a lot of subdivisions that back up to trails, but if you're really looking for something with a paved road, there aren't many in the Animas Valley, and there are several outside of there. Another great option is gonna be downtown Durango area. You've got a lot of great neighborhoods throughout there. Now the next con on the list is really gonna be the lack of mountain views, as well as the lack of sunsets that you're gonna see here in the Animas Valley. Now keep in mind, you've got kind of these ridges on both sides of you, right? You've got the Missionary Ridge on the east side, and then you've got another ridge on the other side, and you've got trails going up those. I mean, it's a stunning, really green ridges, really pretty. And so you've got those views of the Animas Valley when the homes are perched higher up on some of those cliff sides, when they're a little bit higher elevation. But then you're just looking into the valley or at those red cliffs. You don't really have actual mountain views. So I get a lot of clients calling me saying, one of the things in our criteria list is going to be mountain views. And I'm saying, well, if you want mountain views, plus you want to be close to the river, you want to be close to the mountains, close to Purgatory, you're not really going to get mountain views. I mean, there are some homes that get those depending on where you're at, but most homes in the valley are not going to get those mountain views. So we're just starting with the mountain views. That's going to be something that's going to be trickier to get in here unless you go up into the mountain area north of the Animas Valley, or you're in specific homes. I mean, let's say 5% of homes in the Animas Valley are going to get those views. There are some, again, up on these cliff edges, Elkhorn, even Falls Creek Ranch, which is on the other side, but they've got homes that perch up on the top of that cliff edge there that get stunning mountain views. So there are a few subdivisions, just depends, and you definitely are paying for it. Whereas, west of town or south of town, you get a lot of those La Plata views. Some homes in town get a lot of La Plata views as well. So again, reach out, shoot me a text, give me a call. Happy to go over specifics on where you can really get great mountain views, but you're still getting stunning views in the Animas Valley here. So then let's talk about sunsets. Really the best place to see sunsets are going to be on the Mesa, which is really your kind of southern area of Durango. It is a flatter area, it is drier. It's not gonna be nearly as green as the Animas Valley. It's not gonna look like the Animas Valley. You're not gonna have as much water, but there are a lot of benefits to that area. So again, if you're curious about that area, you really want amazing sunsets, check out some of my videos where I talk about the south area of Durango. But in here, you're gonna get a little bit of sunset. You're gonna see a little bit of that pink sky, but nothing compared to that south area because we're, again, tucked in, right? We've got the sun pops up and then sets right over those ridges right behind me there. And so you just don't get those big open skies because we're a little bit more tucked in here. And that is fairly similar in areas like the Edgemont subdivisions as you go east of downtown Durango. A lot of those areas kind of have these ridges around them. You're kind of tucked in. There's a lot of amazing subdivisions that way, but that's kind of how it is out that way too. So keep in mind, when you want that forest, if you really want to be forested or in the mountains, you're going to sacrifice those sunsets. But you're going to get those mountain views and sunsets when you go south of downtown Durango. So I just want to give you some comparisons, some thoughts there. There are some great areas west of downtown Durango, and then in-town Durango is going to get some pretty good sunsets and mountain views as well. But the best are probably going to be south of Durango. Again, guys, give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. Licensed realtor here in Southwest Colorado, as well as New Mexico. Would love to help you with all of your real estate needs. Again, would be happy to put the drone in the air, give you a property tour, area tour of what you're looking for, and give you kind of a map tour on Zoom and really walk you through some of the specifics of what you're looking for so we kind of dial in and narrow in what you're looking for. Want to mention one more thing. I just hopped on a call with a client, and what he was doing was he was saying, look, I'm in this price range, I'm looking for this, but I don't see anything. So I broke down a list and sent him a list of all of the subdivisions that have homes that hit his criteria, but don't have any homes on the market now. So that way he's looking, as homes come on the market, he's looking for homes in those subdivisions. Happy to do that for you guys as well. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon. Please comment, share this video, and subscribe. And I'll see you later.